Welcome back to RPL F2 action. It is time for round 3 of the season. I'm your commentator, Ryan Ocon31, and it's time to get things underway in Spa. Round number 3 of the season. The last time we were here in Spa, lots happened. L74G won the feature race and the sprint race back in season 16. Cryptic was on the podium from P21. We don't have 21 runners in F2 anymore for RPL. We have just 20. And it was a wet race, so a chance for wet weather here in Spa, very, very likely. So, the driver standings, the constructor standings, we'll go over that in just a moment. Last week's results, again, we'll go over that in just a moment. However, I want to talk about the track and some of the drivers for a moment. In Spa, longest track on the circuit, or on the calendar, 4 miles. Tons to play for the drivers. Another thing to mention as well is the current drivers in here. Couple names returning. Griffiths has only made 2 starts. Well, yeah, 2 starts. For F120, well, 3 if you include the sprint race, feature race combined. 2 race weekend starts, we'll call it, for Griffiths. In F123. In F2. He won 1. He was on podium in 2 of them. So he returns to RPL first start of the season, a full-time driver, and in fact, a previous champion, I believe, in RPL F2. Yes, he is. Annex, a driver who's apparently previously raced in RPL, he says, but it is, if true, it's his first start in F123, and it would be potentially his first start in RPL if that's not true. Weiso makes his return. He's back. Owen has a qualifying ban, but was on podium last week after penalties and results came together. Choco made a start in round 1. He's back as well. Zakaria, he's back in RPL F2 as well. And Metal makes his first RPL start, and it comes in F2. Lots to play for today in RPL F2. We're getting underway just last moment, and we're getting underway very quickly. Penalties, headlines, changes, there's not a whole lot, but there is penalties to be served. Francie, his driving last week was not the best, so he's serving a race ban this week with everything added up. Owen has 1 of 2 qualifying bans to serve. He'll serve 1 of them today. As for qualifying, chat, get your predictions in just now. As for the driver standings and the constructor standings, let's go over that quickly. Ads has the lead. He leads over Borbin by 5 points. He's ahead of Beatnik by 10, and then Mythic is 17 back. Van Amersfoort Racing leads ART by 15 points, Carlin at 16, Carlin behind 16, MP Motorsports behind by 22, and Dams are behind by 23 points. Just a 3-second delay in the lobby, which is very great, not too much of a delay, which is very good. As for other things as well, we've had 9 different drivers on the podium this season so far. 7 of the 10 teams have been on podium. All teams have scored points. 4 different teams have won. 4 different drivers have won. And in the last 9 races, there's been 9 different winners. Can anyone repeat? Here we go. Time to get underway in qualifying to figure out if anybody will repeat that stat, in fact. Going on board with Mythic to start off. Mythic is 4th in the Drivers' Championship. And in his Van Amersfoort Racing car. Let's see what he can do. Van Amersfoort leading the constructors by 15 points. It's very interesting indeed that Van Amersfoort did, because they only had 1 double podium last season. They've started off with already 1 double podium this season. Choco retires from the session. Zakaria retires from the session. And Owen will have to serve his qualifying ban. He is in the VAR. He got VAR another podium. They finished on the podium last weekend in Zandvoort with him. And Zakaria says he did a Lando Norris. That is exactly why he is out of this session. So now we head to Sector 2, a very, very long track indeed for RPL. All things considered. 2 minutes long for the F2 cars. I say for RPL, but mainly for the F2 cars itself. We've had 2 different pole sitters to start the season. In fact, the 2 different pole sitters are Crispy and Borbin. Borbin could be taking a 3rd. Crispy is not here today. But one of his fellow mates and one of his fellow racers that he races with in a lot of other leagues, Choco, is here today. And he had a chance to get a podium to his name. He's not had a podium in a long while in RPL. It's been since season 16, round 9 of Mexico, the last time he had a podium, so he's going to have to do it from the back of the grid. Wavy Knife, one of the drivers who usually serve qualifying bans, he's not here today as well. Many big storylines. However, we're coming to the end of this qualifying session. Griffiths is trying to take pole position, but Annex has taken that back as we head to the final couple of corners. The bus stop chicane. Griffiths enters the bus stop chicane. It's a fight between him and Annex coming to the line. DRS applied. Who is it going to be? To the line, and it is close. It's within a tenth, but it's Griffiths who sits on pole, the third different pole sitter in the 3 events so far. There you have it. Griffiths on pole. So, Griffiths on pole position, then it's Annex, Bourbon. Those are the only drivers within a second. A long gap here in Spa. Without a doubt, a lot can change come the race, and their mistakes that they made adds. Waiso round out the top 5. Waiso already had a podium to his name last season in F2, trying to get another one this time. Prima, not the best of starts for them. One of the teams not in the podium, the previous champions from last season. Metal in his first start is 6th. Mythic, Valkyrie, Blue Gagi, and Titan round out the top 10. So it will be Titan and Gagi who start on the sprint race front row. PK, Owen, Chaco, Zakaria, FBL, Beatnik, and Florian round out your grid here. And that will be the feature race starting lineup. With that said, they've been told don't ready before Florian for the sprint race, and then Titan for the feature race. We've gone over the points standings already. How about the tricky corners? In the corners itself, you have a Rouge, Radion, you have La Source, Lecom, Pouan, Blanchimont, the bus stop chicane. There's a ton at this track that is historic. It's special. It makes Spa what it is, and we are here for F2 cars. F2's had some amazing races here and some tragedies here at this track. You have Enzo Fittipaldi getting his first win. We'll see if anyone can get their first win today here in F2. Here they go. For lights out in RPL F2, they're underway. Titan leads the run to turn 1 as his teammate Valkyrie is trying to find a way past Blue Gagi in that front row already. They do make contact at turn 1 as they try to find their way through the field and find their way through turn 1. Cars jockeying for position, bunching up, but they come now to a Rouge and Radion. They go double file here for 5th place already. Side by side, the Red Bull livery car. Can they keep it though? They do with Mythic and Waiso. Off the road, there's a car in the back. That's PK going off. But for the lead and the run towards Sector 2, there's a car going off. That's FPL and PK now. But for the lead, Blue Gagi on the outside line of Titan. Can he get the run to the chicane? The answer's no. Ads losing places. He almost went around there as well. He made an amazing save as Waiso takes 4th place over Annex. And now Griffiths on Metal trying to find some places up on the grid as well. He starts up there in the feature race next up. But Waiso pinches Annex, trying to get the spot. Wheel to wheel here into No Name. It is Waiso who's ahead. Unbelievable action here on the start for the F2 sprint race. We give you the tires now. Everyone's starting on the mediums, but Valkyrie putting Blue Gagi under severe pressure for 2nd place in this race. How about Annex and Waiso back at it? Annex is ahead of Waiso as they do touch for just a moment. Waiso on the inside line for the next corner. Can he keep it? So far, no. Also, Bourbon and Griffiths side by side there. Bourbon getting the upper edge on him. Griffiths trying to find the way around, maybe a switchback. The answer so far, no. Waiso overtaken by Annex. And now, Valkyrie on the back of Blue Gagi. Big pressure for 2nd place in this race. There's a crash. Bourbon is off. Griffiths is off. The two who start P1 and P2 in the sprint or the feature race have gone off and have damage. Careering off, basically ending any hopes for points to their races. No luck to them. They're going to have to try in the feature race. As for lap 1, it is Titan ahead of Blue Gagi and then Valkyrie. Blue Gagi never had a podium in F2 here in RPL. Never had a podium, let alone in RPL. Titan never won a race in RPL, returned to the podium last season, and Valkyrie, 3 wins for 3 consecutive seasons now in RPL as Waiso loses the rear. It allows Annex to have a run and momentum. Torta Rouge and Radion is in the background. That's Chaco and Ads side by side for 6th place in this race. Chaco is ahead as Ads did have to yield there to avoid collision at a Rouge and Radion. Owen went off in the background as well. Annex now going to try something on Wiseau. Annex is ahead. How about Valkyrie? Off! Valkyrie tried the overtake on Blugagi, and Valkyrie is down the order now and outside the points. So Valkyrie, who could have defended from her teammate right there and helped Titan, is no longer in a position to do so. Penalties already to Blugagi. He is definitely going to be hindered from that one. Side by side between Ads and Wiseau. They touch wheels. They come together. But luckily, none of them are off the road as they head to No Name. Side by side still between the pair of them. Ads is ahead. And by quite a bit. This DRS train, which DRS will be enabled next time, really has formed here from now the lead to 12th place. It was a little bit of a gap from what was 4th on back. But with Valkyrie spinning, they've now closed up. Beatnik ahead of his teammate Zakaria. Zakaria making a return to F2. Just barely outside the points for right now. Griffiths on FBL is ahead. Even though Borbin and Griffiths picked the damage, they have not pitted. Don't know who picked up the worst of them two. But they're going to have to try something in order to get points here today in the sprint race. And second place in this race, Blugagi under severe pressure from Annex. Annex trying to look to the outside line at the bus stop chicane. Can he complete the move? Gonna be side by side as they exit the bus stop chicane, but Blugagi yields for that one, and it goes to Annex. Metal, the second driver in this race to pick up a penalty. And you can see some of the cloud cover coming undone. You can see some skies becoming more blue and less dark. DRS enabled, and you can see a little bit of a mistake there at turn 1 from Annex, but not enough for Blugagi to put some pressure on him. Metal gets the place over Zakaria, but that's Florian who gets shoved wide from Zakaria there after Zakaria having to take evasive action, and Valkyrie is out of this race from the pit lane. Here we go for the lead. Annex on Titan Iron Wolf. Titans kept it for the first 2 laps, and now Annex trying to take it back, and he does take the lead. FBL with a penalty. Zakaria and Metal now battling for 10th place. More yellow flags. It's Valkyrie's car in the pit lane. And you can see there in the background that was Mythic almost running off right there as well. But can Titan now hold on to this podium place over Blugagi, Wiseau, and the rest of the hungry pack that is catching. And Valkyrie not happy about the lack of room she's been left so far in this race, leading to her retirement in the pit lane. Could have been a rear wing damage. Could have been a giving up. I'll have to find out later on. Blugagi now trying to maintain P3 with that penalty. He has it on track right now, but obviously will drop after penalties are applied at the end of this race. But he's got Wiseau for company. Very interesting start. Let's see the positions gained from the drivers. We did not check that. 8 for Annex, 2 for Wiseau, 2 for Ads, 7 for Choco, 8 for Beatnik, and 8 for Florian. This might be Wiseau's best chance to have a run at Blugagi. You have Ads, Choco, Owen, and Beatnik waiting in the background. Griffiths passes PK for position. But if Blugagi can hold on to this would be incredible for him. And a run for the podium, at least on track. He won't get it on penalties. Beatnik and Owen trade places as well, side by side at the bus stop chicane. They're going to remain side by side between the pair of them. And that is Zakaria getting by Metal. That's a slap for Annex. He's going to run away with the lead as the time being. But Titan is really causing a big DRS train, a big hurdle of cars behind. Hungry for position. Zakaria overtaken once again by Metal. They're duking it out for 10th place. But the battle right now, more importantly, for the podium inside the points. Titan trying to hold on to that podium and running wide. There was Blugagi. Might have got a warning for it for track limits. However, Florian picks up a warning. A penalty for track limits. And now they're going to split them. Wiseau on the inside line of Blugagi. Ads trying to make the move as well. Trying to wait in the background. Wait for the right opportunity. He now can try to make the move on Wiseau, but can't get it done. Yellow flags in the back. That's for PK, who's off. However, Wiseau, Ads trying to still find a way past Blugagi. Wiseau down the inside. Blugagi is sideways, and there is damage. That's damage to Choco. The two Prima teammates do kind of come together there as Wiseau tried to make the move on Blugagi, couldn't get it done. Now picks up a penalty. Ads was waiting in the background, Beatnik waiting in the background. They couldn't make anything of it there, but there is damage toward Choco, and it's really coming into effect. Here he comes. Ads now on Choco, gets the move done. Now Beatnik's trying to find a way past Choco on the inside line here at the right left. Beatnik now going to try around the outside as Chaco still going to fight this position with the damage he has. And Owen trying to have him give the hurry up. Gives him a little bit of a punt. It is Weiso ahead for 3rd place, but Beatnik now ahead for 6th place. Lots of action in this F2 field. They just can't stop. Here comes Chaco back at it, and Beatnik even with the damage. And in front of that, adds your championship leader on Blugagi. Blugagi with another penalty. So he's adding more to his name. Blugagi now fighting his teammate here. Holding his teammate up a little bit. He would have the net podium, but if he can get by Blugagi and Weiso, he can go fight Titan for P2. And Blugagi getting squirrely there to the final corner. Can't hold on to it, but he can hold on to the place. Chaco and Owen now duking it out. Owen trying to get the upper edge on Chaco, who has damage. Chaco trying to fight this back on Beatnik. There's a car as well. Goes through turn 1. That was Florian. Potential contact from Metal, Griffiths, and Zakaria in that battle. Any one of those 4. However, side by side as they enter a Rouge, Beatnik is ahead. And now it's the back of Chaco. Chaco goes veering off. There's a bunch of cars colliding. The barrier is damaged. The safety car is out. Beatnik involved. Owen involved. The 3-car collision leads to a retirement and a safety car. Severe damage to Chaco out of this race. Beatnik involved, Owen involved, and now the safety car will hinder this one. Wow. Chaco says, I'm driving around idiots. Well, his podium drought is going to continue once again here in F2. A Prema, a Charouz, the 2 constructors who battled out last season for the title in F2, out of this race with 2 drivers, Chaco being the Prema driver and Charouz's driver being Valkyrie. Well, with the halt of this race due to the safety car, we have 5 drivers who have penalties. 15 runners still left, so a third of the field has penalties, with only halfway being complete. And now, this gives us a very interesting fight now between the field. Can Titan remain on that podium for 2nd place? Ads currently has the net podium, and your championship leader looking to extend it now with Bourbon, who is at the back of that grid, potentially trying to run for points now and trying to hinder the damage, I guess. Or lessen the damage, you could say. Beatnik was involved in that crash. He had a lot that went on for him there. He's 3rd in the championship standings. VAR with Owen, he was involved in that crash. They lead over ART by 15 points. So a lot to play for, a lot happening. Will anybody head for the pit lane, though? Your race leader does not. Titan is the next one who we will figure out. He stays out. Obviously, that you should stay out. Why would you give up the track position? But any of these guys who have damage and are further back in the field, such as Metal, and now others with Griffiths and more, you should head to the pit lane, and they are. Griffiths, Metal, Zakaria, Mythic, Bourbon, Beatnik are all in. FBL, though, with damage on that Red Bull livery car, does stay out. And interestingly so, because he's going to be promoted to 8th place, the last spot in the points, but he does have drivers behind who don't have damage now, who have new tires, all going to fight for it. So very interesting indeed. I think there was a double stack between Beatnik and Zakaria. So something happened there. Mythic repairing front wing. A couple drivers in the pit lane repairing front wing. A bunch of drivers were involved in some sort of issue on the opening laps. But with a short sprint race, and now the second half of this race underway, it could likely be a 2-lap shootout to end this race, or a 3-lap shootout. We'll have to find out. A lot can still happen, so here we go. A reminder to those of you watching, the rest of this weekend is recapped by Tier 1 later today at Monza. F2 next week, they're at Singapore, and Tier 2 next week, they're at Britain. So make sure if you're watching, you catch the action here in RPL. As for the driving itself, a little questionable to start this race, but nothing too severe. I could see why Chaco was frustrated, though, obviously. Chaco had damage. Beatnik failed to yield up a Rouge and realized that, or realized the extent of it, and collided with him, and Chaco went careering off and out of this race. And Owen is one of them who has rearing damage. He was one who was punted from behind there and was involved in that collision. And Beatnik in the chat is taking blame for the collision. Choco not putting a lot of practice into the F2 car, so that is also why maybe he costed himself more as well by breaking a little bit up a rouge, but sort of reasonably so with the amount of damage he had to his car. We saw the damage he picked up. It obviously was going to hinder him. It did. And he overreacted, Beatnik overreacted, and it caused a collision. And we'll see what the Searles office says. Obviously, it's the following car's blame in that kind of situation. You are the following car. You have to not hit the car in front of you, and he did just that. We saw Blue Goggy trying to potentially overtake there his teammate Ads. So this should be interesting. How does Blue Goggy help the hungry drivers behind him in pursuit of helping his teammate Ads stay on the podium here for ART? ART, second in the Constructors. Blue Goggy took his second points finish in the last 3 seasons last week. That was close under the safety car for him losing positions. He's got to be careful warming up his tires. Beatnik also has rear wing damage, so we'll see how those drivers fare outside the points and inside the points with Owen. But speaking of Goggy, 1 point last week. This was his first points finish since round 3 of Spain. Round 3 of Spain being now 2 seasons ago, it was a P8 finish. And funny enough, with Annex leading this race, by the way, that's the lowest someone has been on the grid in terms of fighting for the win. The lowest someone has won from on the grid this season so far, P8. He could win here from P9. And interestingly enough, look at Florian who's gained spots. Look at a lot of other drivers such as Owen, who doesn't have a penalty. A lot here on the cards, because in the 4 events that have been ran, I say 4 events, 2 rounds, 4 events, 2 rounds, we've had a sprint race and feature race for Qatar and Zandvoort, both. We've had at least 1 podium finisher in all 4 of those races from outside the top 10 on the grid. Look at this now. Look at where they've been on the grid. At least one of those podium finishers. 12th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. Well, we're not going to get exactly that if Annex wins, but we'll get a win from P9 on the grid and a podium from P9 on the grid. Very interestingly enough. And if Florian can get on the podium, we'd have a driver from P17 on the grid, though, interestingly enough. So a lot to play for, a lot that can still happen. But we have a lot of drivers on this field, FBL being one of them, who has front wing damage. Owen has rear wing damage. Beatnik has rear wing damage. Griffiths repaired that potential damage. Boardman as well. They've got new tires now as well. So a lot that could happen. Those soft tires, how will they compare to your medium tires up at the front of the field in the first half? First half drivers on mediums, the second half on softs. Second half of this race getting underway. A 2-lap shootout to finish this in Spa. No more safety cars, no more VSCs to decide your winner for the sprint race here in RPL. Looking for a 10th winner in the last 10 races, 5th of the season in the 5 races, and you'd also be looking for a 16th different winner in F2 action in RPL, F2 and F123. There we go. So Annex controls the pace, leads the way. The safety car coming in. When will he go? Bunching up the pack as we head to the final corner. The final couple of corners. The bus stop chicane. He exits it. He's on the gas. Pedal to the metal. Once again. Here we go. Safety car restart underway. 3rd place in this race. Under a lot of heat. Ads trying to follow Wiseau. Can he get the move done? Not yet at turn 1. He's going to have to wait. And toward the back of this pack as well, we've got Griffiths trying to make a move on Zakaria. He does so. He dives down the inside. He's ahead. Makes the move done very cleanly. Metal and FBL. FBL with the damage. Metal trying to follow along and get the overtake done. Side by side under Rouge and Radion. They almost come together. FBL is up the road with the damage. And he does re-enter right in the path. However, Blue Goggy under pursuit. Up in front of that, though, for P2. Titans under attack. Here's Wiseau. Here's Ads. Wiseau ahead. Can he keep it? Titan gets the pinch. And now almost come together. Ads as well. Trying to make the move on Titan. Titan getting squirmished up. Titan getting boxed in right there. Wiseau ahead. Ads ahead. He doesn't have a penalty. Ads now to P2 on track, even with the penalties. So Titan would keep the podium on track right now. However, penalties could be applied. Penalties could be appealed. Owen following down the order from Griffiths, who is on those soft tires without a penalty. Metal as well. And his first RPL start with the penalty. Still in the points. Trying to hang on. But he's got hungry drivers behind who doesn't have a penalty. Here's Blue Goggy getting overtaken once again as well. by Griffiths this time. Griffiths on the charge. From this restart, he started outside the top 10. He's now up to 7. He could be on for a podium here. Contact in front. That's Metal and Florian. Here comes Griffiths back at it. And Griffiths could get 2 and 1 right here. They got to be careful, the front two in front of him. Zakaria with a penalty. Many drivers picking up penalties. Griffiths now trying to overtake Metal. Can't get it right here. Gonna have to wait a little longer. But now, this is 4 cars in under a blanket. That's Titan holding them up. And they touch. That's Metal and Florian off the road. And there's a front wing being broken. And now Griffiths goes through. Weissa with a penalty. That's for P3. Titan could still find a way on this podium if things all come together. Now he's falling down the order, so he hinders his chances as we reach the final lap. Griffiths takes over P4 and would be on the net podium. Florian now battling with Metal, Titan, and Zakaria, all duking it out for a position. Overtakes there in the background. Mythic now picks up a penalty. Zakaria gets by Titan. Titan, one of the big losers on the restart. Same with Gagi. And now Zakaria following Florian, trying to find a way past. Beatnik picking up a penalty. There was another driver who just picked up a penalty. That was Blue Gagi. Mythic gets past PK. Now Florian defending from Zakaria. I believe Florian has a bit of damage there in his car. Oh, he makes contact there with Zakaria. They almost come together. Blue Gagi and Titan come together for a moment. That opens up the door there for Mythic now. And third place in this race. Griffiths has got it over Weissa. So now the top 3 are drivers without a penalty. Zakaria gets Metal at the back of the field as well. Beatnik and Owen trying to hang on with damage to their car. Beatnik has a penalty. Owen doesn't. Mythic and Blue Gagi, they trade spots right there. PK has a penalty. Mythic goes through on Gagi now. And Gagi plummeting down the order. Titan without a penalty, plummeting down the order, but still could get some spots based on penalties. In front of that, Metal and Zakaria again. Behind that, Beatnik and PK. Beatnik had a PK. Titan on the back of Blue Gagi. They're inside of one another. That's not good. Oh, they touch. They touch again. Titan gives him the punt. Metal trying to get Zakaria here for 5th place on the road. And now Griffiths trying to get 2nd place on the road. It's all happening behind our race leader. Griffiths tries to switch back and goes through. Unbelievable for 2nd place. He's charged to the field, and he's going to get the podium. But more importantly, 10 different winners in the last 10 races. A 16th different winner on F123 and F2 for RPL. Annex sees the flag for a first win in RPL. He does it. Griffiths takes 2nd place in the fastest lap, adds his 3rd-year championship leader, and they're all figuring it out behind them. Titan holds on for P6 on penalties. Zakaria for P4, Metal for P5. Florian and Mythic round out the points finishers. What a crazy action-packed F2 race that was in the sprint race. Wow. Unbelievable action. Annex from P9 on the grid wins it. And your podium celebrations for the sprint race. Wow. If Griffiths just had a little more, he could have potentially got the race victory there in the sprint race. Remember, he crashed at the start there. He had an issue with Bourbon, I believe it was. Pitted outside the top 10 in the final restart. In those 2 laps, he went from outside the top 10 to a podium in P2. Fair play. That's my driver of the day for the sprint race. With the qualifying, with the pole position, he ended up getting the most points for the sprint race weekend. Fastest lap also went to, I believe it was Griffiths there as well, so another point to his name. Here are your results. Only 2 drivers within the 159s there. You could see the amount they were pushing and the amount there. And next was on those hard old mediums, and Griffiths on those new softs. So it could be a very interesting battle between those 2 drivers come the feature race. There are your results. We could not go down any further. Man, everyone readied up just in time. But Now it's wet! It's wet for the feature race! Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, we saw wet action last time we were in Spa for F2 2 seasons ago. Now it's this season, and it's wet. Oh boy. Well, I'll say this. If we know anything from wet action before in RPL from F2 last time, it's that Cryptic got a podium from P21 on the grid, and with that said, let's look out for the drivers at the very back of the grid. We don't have 21 drivers this time. We have 17, so a little less to play for than that. But, yep, a lot of tricky corners on our track here. A lot of corners to nail. These drivers will have to do it themselves. A 2-minute lap time will become even more with the wet action. It should be enough for wet tires, but just like Zandvoort last week, the question becomes, will it clear up at any point for dry tires? That becomes the main talking point. And here we go. Here come the 5 red lights for the start. It's lights out and away we go, and it's treacherous off the line already. You can see the drivers tiptoeing toward turn 1. Griffiths clear of Annex, but Annex wants to have a look for turn 1. Can he get it? Ads also on Bourbon Boy. Ads takes over 3rd place. There's yellow flags in the back of the field. That's Metal, Beatnik, they're off. And FPL now trading places with Florian as well. There's something that's happened there at the back of the grid. But single file for the first couple of spots. They go side by side for 9th place on the road, 8th place on the road. Goggy goes off, taking the runoff. And now for 2nd place, Ads gets Annex. Ads ahead of Annex for 2nd place on the road with Bourbon charging as well, winning in the background. He's having a look as well into turn 4. Can't do it. Can't do it this time. And now, behind that, a penalty already for Blue Goggy, and he's off with Mythic. And he's out. He's done, and that is his race over. Couldn't get it back on track in the wet, off the grass, and this is now the virtual safety car coming out. Man. What an unfortunate end to Blue Goggy's race that halts this race. Wow. Not the way he would have wanted to end it, without a doubt. And he leaves the session with that as well. VSC about to come to an end, but let's look at the positions gained. 2 for Ads, a very good start. 2 for Valkyrie, a very much better start compared to the sprint race. 5 for Owen, 3 for PK, 4 for Choco, 4 for Zakaria, and 5 for Florian. 3 for Beatnik as well, who's trying to have a better race than what he had in the sprint race. And here we go, back underway. The VSC comes to an end. Ads now in the charge, trying to find his way past Griffiths in these wet conditions. It's absolutely monsoon conditions, without a doubt. It's not complete monsoon because we'd probably have inters in the F123 cars and the regular F1 cars, but we do not have inters and wets. It's just wets or dries here in F2 basically. And there was something that happened there to Florian. He's down the order. Choco as well with PK. There was contact a little bit further back. Owen now trades spots with Valkyrie, who gets a 5-second for corner cutting. So she went off at the bus stop chicane, and they're 3 wide into turn 1. That's Choco, Zakaria, PK. Choco slides, and he's around, and he's got damage. And Florian is now another one out of this race as well as Ads. Ads and Griffiths traded spots there for a moment for the lead. Griffiths is off. They're struggling in the wet conditions, and now Ads retakes the race lead once again in F2. He had it last weekend in Zandvoort, and he's going to lead a lap again, or lead the race again here in Spa. Unless Griffiths can charge back at it, he can't here into the start of Sector 2. And it's now an accordion effect here, the top 4 runners. No DRS, but it's the usual choo-choo train that you have at the front of the field here. And they're all trying to find their places. Off there goes Bourbon. He was at the very back of that train, and now is outside of a second, so he's not really within closing range of those drivers. And trading spots there inside the points, PK, Choco. Choco going to have to deal with damage for a 2nd consecutive race as well. More damage to his name. Beatnik as well, trying to make a look. Beatnik made contact with him the last race in the sprint. Off the road goes Mythic. Mythic didn't have damage, but he had to avoid the guys with damage in front of him. And it's just so hard to see. It feels like 2021 all over again with how it looks. It's just dark. You can see the trees. That's how dark it is. Just not the sight you'd want to see in Spa most times. But sometimes when it does get underway, you do see some good racing here in RPL 2. Back to the lead. 2/10 the gap. Griffiths trying to retake the spot and adds for the race lead. He's got more grip, more momentum, and more speed in that car. Can he get through, though, on ads? Not yet. Heavy braking there at the bus stop chicane. The final 2 corners. Adds your points leader. Trying to hold on to the race lead. He will lead a lap here in Spa. However, how much longer can he hold on? Look at the lap times they're setting. 12 seconds slower than what they set in the sprint race. That's how treacherous these conditions are. PK with a penalty. That's a 5-second. That's another penalty in the bus stop chicane. And Valkyrie now getting the boot from Zakaria. Getting the hurry up notification there. And down the order. That's FBL. That's Beatnik. Beatnik into a collision with someone there. As now Metal being overtaken by PK. That's the yield there for Rouge. And off! Off goes Valkyrie! She's even got more of a hit from Zakaria as she went off. Careering off into the barrier. That's her chance for points. Likely done. And potential rear wing damage to her car. The lead also got close once again. Annex in this race. Griffiths in this race. A 3-car battle for the race lead. Surely you gotta wonder if Ads can hold on to the championship lead after this race after what Griffiths and Annex have put together. If that will be a thing to come for future races. Annex, we didn't mention this at the end of the sprint race, but breaking news here from Titan Iron Wolf. Driver change. Dylan to standby. And the reason being, no tick, no show, 2 straight events. And Annex, the replacement that goes into effect after Spa. So new full-time driver on our hands with Annex for high tech. Is it high tech? It is high tech. Just making sure. Heading to this race, they had 1 podium to their name. Didn't have a win this season, but now with him, they've got a win. They've got 2 podiums. Looking for a 3rd now as well. So a lot to come here. Dylan was a part of NP Motorsport there, so that'll be interesting in terms of MP catching up there. They were 4th place heading into this race in the battle. Choco and Titan now for a position on track. Oh, Titan gives Choco the squeeze there. Cuts him off there at Blanchimont. And PK also gets Valkyrie. That's outside the points. That's cars with damage. And Titan now getting the punt. Choco goes off. And Valkyrie is retired. She's out of this race. Choco, while that was happening, gets more damage to his car. And that is the end of her race. She's DNF for 2 straight events there. The 3rd this season to her name. Man, Valkyrie, who came into this race, P7 in the championship, the win to her name already. Not the way she would have wanted to start it, no doubt in my mind about it, but more bad luck to her name. Shrews, the remaining vice champion in F2 from last season. Sorry, the reigning vice champions, excuse me, in F2 from last season. P2, P3 still on the road right here within closing range of the race leaders. P5 has a battle up there as well with Weiso, Owen, Zakaria, Mythic and Titan as well within DRS, or not DRS, excuse me, within closing range. There's no DRS in the wet conditions, silly me. But PK was looking for a move on Metal, and now is out of this race. And that brings out the safety car. A move at a corner where you could go side by side, no room to do so. PK went off and is out. Unbelievable. Well, let's find out if we can see if any drivers do pit in this race. and go for new set of tires in order to make it to the end with how much wear they probably have on their tires, with how much laps that have been ran. There's only been 4 laps now ran, but you want to make sure you can make it to the end? Well, here you go. Ads pitting, Griffiths pits, Annex pits, and likely more to come. Bourbon. Weisso now comes in. Owen comes in. Zakaria comes in. Titan slows down to make a last-minute decision. He pits. Mythic pits. Beatnik pits. FBL is in. Choco with the damage has to pit. And Metal next up. And we see some drivers going to the dry tires. The track is drying. And with how many laps you run here under the safety car and how much time you spend, it is a fair point from these drivers to go to the dry tires, as you could see the track being just about fully dry or close to fully dry once we do get underway again. Everyone who's pitted going to dry tires, whether that be the softs, the mediums, everybody pitted. Drivers who had damage, trying to fix their damage. And everybody does go to dry tires, as suggested by Mark, your race engineer. Well, soft tires for Annex, soft tires for FBL. The rest of the field are mediums. This is very interesting, without a doubt. Can those tires make it? Can they get up to temperature? That's what these guys have to hope for, too. Did you get your tires up to temperature under the safety car? Did you not? What happened there? A lot that could be talked about in terms of that. So, under the safety car, we'll look at the positions gained here and see if anyone can get a podium from outside the top 10 once again. Zakaria, Owen, likely candidates of that. FBL as well. Titan from P10. No driver here in this race has a penalty to their name that is left in this race. We had PK, Valk out of this race. Florian Gagi out of this race right now as well. Your 4 runners who have either retired in the pit lane or were out due to a crash. Gagi's was a VSC. Florian's, I believe, was in the pit lane. Valkyrie was on track. Valkyrie. PK was on track, and we saw it on stream as well. I mean, some people are definitely going to assume that it looked intentional. I don't know if you could classify that as intentional. I'm not going to suggest it, but I know some people will think it would be. And I can understand why, because he turned in and said, F it, I'm going to the wall, I guess. And I don't think he meant to do that, but he turned in, and I'm going to assume the only way I could assume it's not intentional in some capacity is the fact that he thought he was going to go into a slide, because we were still in wet conditions there, on the wet tires too. He thought he was going to go into a slide, tried to turn out of it, and instead turned a little too much, turning into the wall, but unfortunate end to his race, obviously. Annex curious on how long softs last. Obviously, he's on the softs. Everyone else on the mediums except for FBL. Titan now entering the pit lane. Going to be from the back of the grid now to try to recover this. He likely could go to the softs. 7 laps at best, Titan a suggestion. And he's wondering if Choco's alright. Don't know what happened there as well. We'll see if he does go to the soft tires here. He's probably going to change a wing if he is coming to the pit lane right now. He's not. But he is changing tires. Very interesting indeed. He's going to try this from the back of the grid, going to the soft tires. And you can see how much drier the track is too. Meaning Titan's tires will be much more up to temperature. 1 lap fresher. And most of the field being on mediums, Titan feels he can get the most out of these softs. And especially with 1 more safety car lap left, the rest of this lap, you basically got half the race left. And that's 7 laps. So Titan thinks that those soft tires could potentially find his way inside the points, or at best a podium. Not likely a win. I don't think a win is possible for Titan here, but a podium is possible with the tire difference as well, with that coming into effect. We're going to replay a clip here from last week in the race. We can't replay it live on stream, but I want to mention this because we were just in the wet conditions. We're no longer in the wet conditions. A move last week in the race, it was at the end of the feature race, the 20-lap feature race here in Zandvoort last week, RPL F2. How badly do you want to position? Well, I think it was showed very much so last week in the Zandvoort race coming to the line on the last lap in the banked corners. It was FB. Pit stops. FBL's tires were on 76%. Beatnik got a good, nice view of it. FBL pulled what I would call a Ross Chastain, the Hail Melon, at the final corner. He used the wall in order to get the position on Mythic. Some people call it a cheap shot move. Others feel it was incredible what he did. But how badly do you want a position? Well, FBL did show that, and he's on the soft tires, and surely he will gain spots in those fresher tires and those better tires too, compared to the rest of the drivers. Was still wet conditions, track dried out, but not enough for dry tires. This time, at the end of this race, the second half, it is enough for dry tires. We'll see how the drivers fare from this one. So, safety car in at the end of this lap. See? Also, Titan feeling Chaco kept changing lanes right there. That caused the second bit of Chaco's damage, but Ads leads the way. Safety car into the pit lane. When will he go? He's fully on the gas, but he's also on the brake as well. And now as he brakes for the bus stop chicane, he will go in just a moment. And now he's foot to the floor. He gets the field waiting side by side for second place. Remember, you can't overtake before the start-finish line. NX waiting for that one, and now going to pull to the inside line. Here he goes. Oh, Griffiths almost hit the back of your race leader there. That was Ads. And Borbin almost hitting the back of Griffiths. You saw a little bit of a ghost right there. And Zakaria, Waiso, side by side, the 3 Red Bull livery cars under a blanket and around. NX down the order. Unbelievable. Griffiths as well. The 2 drivers who were on the podium spots now are both outside the points. And now, side by side throughout this field, Owen and Borbin for second place in this race. Owen gets the move done. It's going to be a bit of a squeeze there into Lecom. But side by side between Chaco and Mythic here. And Chaco gets the upper edge. He's ahead. Metal ahead of Beatnik and Annex. Also somehow holding position there. And Titan after that as well. Titan not getting those soft tires up to temperature just yet, it looks like. And on full cylinder. Beatnik now trying to find a way past Metal. The sun's coming out, so more grip on these tires, more lap time. Zakaria as well making a return to F2. He finished 4th in the sprint race. Sorry, from P13 there. Sorry, P14 I think actually. Yeah, P14. A lot of drivers coming from the back of the grid. Exactly what I talked about with Cryptic getting that podium there from last season at the back of the grid. Here comes Waiso now in Zakaria. Waiso, the other Red Bull livery driver, trying to find his way past Zakaria. You've got 3 Red Bull delivery drivers under a blanket right here. A gap of what, 6/10 here? Actually, 4 Red Bull livery drivers now. Here comes Waiso. Chooses the left side on Zakaria. Gonna pull to the outside line. Gonna have the inside line for the next corner if he can just hold it. He does. They do bang wheels for a moment. Going inside one another. Zakaria yields the place. And behind that, FBL and Chaco bang wheels for a moment. And they're now looking for 3 wide. A little bit of jockeying position in the background. That was Waisu going wide there at turn 1, but now Zakaria ahead for P5. Chaco gets the place. FBL down the order on those softer tires. And you can just see what that did. You can't get your position. Well, you're going to be stuck in this little debacle it is. And Metal getting a penalty as well. He went off the road there. I believe FBL did for a moment. He might have picked up a track limit warning. And X and Beatnik trying to battle this out. In front of that, it's Chaco and Zakaria for P5. For Red Bull livery drivers, you just can't tell what teams these are. It's 2 Premas. Zakaria in the Carlin and FBL in the Dams. I just wanted to double check there, as you can see a little bit of an accordion effect here. This is affecting the back of the field as Annex gets Beatnik. Metal, one of the only drivers of the penalty as well. He's also trying to follow suit. FBL was a little close there to Zakaria, and now Chaco close to Weiss, his teammate. All for position. Remember, Ads already has a win on the season, trying to become the first repeat winner here. in the last 11 races here in RPL F2, and in fact would be the first repeat winner of the season. Interestingly enough, 16 different winners on F2, F123 action for RPL. Only 3 of them have won multiple times. That includes the following of Valkyrie, Blonde, and Skither. Ads could add his name to that list. FBL on Zakaria, outside line, Blunchamal, here we go! FBL now picks up a penalty, that's P7. And he's having a look here on Zakaria, while Mythic has a look on him now. And Mythic, under pressure from Metal, they do touch for just a moment, but nothing too severe right there. DRS enabled, and now Choco on the back of his teammate Waiso, the 2 Premas duking it out. We also have FBL and Zakaria following suit. This is all for points positions, guys. And now Annex, I think, getting a hit there from Mythic, or P9. Both these guys running behind drivers with penalties. Both don't have penalties, and now they follow up toward Rouge and Radion. Here we go. Choco had a look there on Waiso toward Rouge. Couldn't get it done. FBL now trying to get it done on Zakaria. Here he goes with the penalty, with the soft tires, trying to make the most of it. Outside line, gets the move done. Also in front of that, Choco and Waiso trade spots. Annex gets ahead of Metal, and now Mythic ahead of Beanick, but they still remain side by side there. Into the chicane, it is Mythic who's ahead. Unbelievable action we're seeing right here. Zakaria, outside line now, trying to look on FBL. Can't get it done. Tons of action through this field, and now the lead is closed down. Bourbon on ads. Even if Bourbon did win, Bourbon would be a repeat winner on the F2 action. Bourbon won his first F123 F2 race last season. Trying to go for second one. Ads trying to hold on for his second win. Would be second of the season. 2 big faces came into this race. 1-2 in the championship. More points on offer for your feature race, of course. So trying to come out of here. P1 and P2 in the championship as well. You have Waiso, Choco as well, P4, P5 on the road. Behind that, Annex trying to follow Zakaria, who's run off the road, re-enters right in the path of Annex, and he has to use the grass right there to avoid a potential collision. And now Metal is looking as well, a potential 3 wide, couldn't get it done. They do make contact, they're squirmishy, and now Metal takes 2 and 1. However, can he hold it? Can he hold it on the inside line for the bus stop chicane? Zakaria gives the squeeze. Now Metal giving the pinch back here at the exit of the bus stop chicane. Zakaria uses the runoff, goes off the road. Titan picks up the penalty that you see as well. That's added onto his time. And now Zakaria looks to the inside. Well, Annex got the both of them. And Zakaria shoves his way back at it. Shoves him off the road. Back on the road comes Metal behind Mythic. Oh, he's into the wall, I think. He brushed the wall there. You can see what that did to his car. Now for the lead. Saw someone go off the road, but more importantly for the lead. Here comes Bourbon. Looking on the inside line of the race leader, Ads. Can't get it yet. Griffiths with a penalty. And now Bourbon trying to switch back right on the outside line. Can't get it done. With more grip though, he's going to have a look here into the heavy braking zone of the right. Can't get it. Ads protects the spot and remains in the lead. Bourbon trying to look, he knows he's got better pace than Ads, but can't make anything with it. And behind that, Mythic, Zakaria, Beanick, still duking it out. Beanick and Zakaria, the 2 teammates there, went side by side. Zakaria loses the place, and I think he's got more damage, and it's coming undone to his race. Oh, he pinches Metal. Metal goes through. Wow, that got tight. FBL now with more penalties. Titan takes the spot there for the final points position, though. Wow. This gets crazy here. All on the road, whether it's penalties, also the points, positions, the race lead. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. These guys are fighting it out, and now down the order is FBL. He had something happen. I think he was the yellow flags right there, but this race is becoming undone for sure for points. He does have a penalty to spare. In fact, he does have 2 penalties to spare. So big toward his name. Bourbon was looking for the race lead, couldn't get it done. Remember, if these 2 have something happen, you've got Owen, who's in P3 right now, looking for a first win since season 15, round 3 in Imola. Could get it done if these 2 continue to battle it out enough to where they crash or cost him time. Owen would take advantage and get his first win in 3 seasons. And in fact, the last time that was in round 3 as well, Imola. This is round 3 today in Belgium. Here we go. Bourbon trying to find more momentum, trying to find more speed to get by Ads. He's got the DRS applied now on the run toward Lecombe with 3 laps remaining. You got to get it done now. Here he goes. Ahead of Ads. Race lead. Move complete. Annex goes by Weiso trying to charge back up the field. After his collision there with Griffiths. Griffiths with that penalty. He's outside the points, but Annex has recovered back to 5th place, and now Weiso, one of the points runners with a penalty. Mythic holds on to Beatnik, or holds on with Beatnik, and now they're 3 wide for a moment. They touch! Off goes Griffiths and Zakaria. Or sorry, that's Titan. Zakaria, Griffiths, and Titan, excuse me. They were 3 wide, and that was never gonna work. Titan with damage to his car. Front wing gone. Griffiths, more damage to his race. Zakaria, just barely holding on in this race. Doesn't have any damage, but surprisingly enough, still can find some points here with FBL's penalty. Man, 3 wide was just never going to work there in those set of corners. Like, I just knew it was going to happen. And FBL now is spun again, giving Zakaria P10. Griffiths now all over the back of him. He got in that collision with Zakaria. He wants a little bit of action again. Wants a little bit of more. Pinches Griffiths. Zakaria is one that's going to fight it forever, and he's just continuing to do so here, even if it's just for P10. Zakaria holds on. However, Griffiths switches him back, left side, cuts back, does it. Can he do it this time? Zakaria, you could see with the end plate gone, has damage, and now FBL is down to last place. He's crashed. However, Zakaria holds the place for now. However, Griffiths having a look on the braking zone on the outside line, can't get it done. Zakaria, I think, gonna try to go for the DRS right here, but Griffiths is not gonna allow him. Both of them have damage, and what the hell is that? Both of them just backed off for the DRS, and playing mind games cost them a ton of time. Not like it's gonna matter, I guess, even though it's for P10. Choco gets the podium place over Owen, and FBL retires in the pit. Great places there with Mythic Metal. That's for P7 on the road there. Choco, very interesting indeed. We mentioned him. His last podium, season 16, round number 9 in Mexico, trying to break that drought. Funny enough, Owen, Choco, some droughts to their name as well. Very interesting indeed. More yellow flags. That's for the retirement of FBL. Just, that's coming undone. And Griffiths does get ahead of Zakaria. Both drivers with damage. Still inside the points, but now Zakaria might be outside the points with that penalty. Even though he's outside the points right now, he still could have had a chance for points, but it's just coming undone. That collision ultimately did it, and just more to their race hindered. I'm curious to see if any of these soft runners will get a puncture, but if they don't, we still have battles on for 9th place. Unbelievable that Metal was able to hang on to that. Unbelievable save right there on the back of Mythic and Beatnik. Wow. Here we go. Bourbon leads the way, starts the final lap over Ads. The drivers who entered this race 1-2 in the championship, looking to finish 1-2 on the road and 1-2 in this race. However, Ads wants a bit of taste for more. He's trying to find the spot and trying to find the way past Bourbon Boy. But is it too little too late? DRS going to be applied now on the run of the Camel Straight. And almost runs off track right there, Ads. But here he comes on that Camel Straight. DRS applied, was almost 4/10 back right here. This is going to be his best opportunity. Which way does he go? Inside line. Can't do it. Bourbon showed him the inside line, but he couldn't do it. Annex also gets by Owen as well. Owen plummeting down the order as well. He was holding on to P3 for so long, but that's coming undone as well. Annex trying to get 2 podiums in a row, but now Ads has a look for the race lead on the inside line, heading into No Name. Couldn't do it. You can just see he's got more pace left in his car and his ART over the MP, trying to find the spot, trying to find the momentum. Can't get there. He's gonna have a couple more corners to do so, a couple more corners to negotiate. 1 sector remaining, but is it enough? These two would become repeat winners in the season and multiple winners in terms of F123 RPL F2. Can't do it. Can't do it. I think Ad's made a small mistake there, and it's not going to be enough, it looks like, unless something drastic happens here. 5 tenths, 6 tenths, he's lost it. They continue to battle behind that. Mythic, Metal, there's a position right there. Metal is a penalty. Mythic doesn't. Metal still in the back of him. Owen and Annex within DRS range, but not going to be enough. The two came 1-2 in the championship into this race. They're going to finish 1-2, but in a different order from what they came into this race. Bourbon with a second win of the season, the first repeat winner of the season, the fourth multiple-time winner on the F2 F123 RPL stint. Ads comes home second. Choco, a first podium since season 16, round number 9, Mexico. 2 seasons in the making. He's back on the podium. Owen, Annex rounds out the top 5. Annex ahead of Owen, Beanick, Wiseau, and Mythic. And then Metal and Griffiths round out the points. And Titan and Zakaria are going to fight this one to the line, it looks like, between them for 11th. And Titan and Zakaria touch. And it's a photo finish. Titan ahead of Zakaria. But I think it went to Titan on penalties there. Wow. And there are your podium celebrations. There you go. Choco returns back to the podium. Bourbon and Ads. Well, they had 2 podiums already heading into this race. From the sprint race, feature race in Qatar and Zandvoort, but they add more to their tally. And look at this with the points. Bourbon might have won there in the feature race. Will not take over the points lead, but now shrinks the lead down to 3 points between them. Between himself and Ads. Ads with a 3-point lead. Here are your final results here. 13th on the grid from Choco. And here are your final results here. There you go. Another driver who finishes in the podium from outside the top 10 on the grid. Very impressive stuff there from Choco. You know, he had damage at the start of this race as well. That's his second driver who's done that. Had damage at the start of the race, had a collision with another driver, and comes back to finish on the podium. Look at that. Wow. Wow. Impressive. So Bourbon adds on to his win tally. He's had many wins, but his win last season came in a sprint race. This one coming in a feature race. Interestingly enough, I said Bourbon was the first repeat winner of the season. He didn't have a win before the season. Or sorry, during the season I meant. He's the second repeat winner, though, of F1, not F123. Wow, I am misjumbled there. Excuse me. He's the 4th repeat winner in action for F1 23 F2 action. Wow, I'm misjumbled. I'll fix myself there for the tier 1 race later on today. My bad. Either way, that's it for F2 action. Later today, we're in Monza. Next week, F2 is in Singapore. Man, they've got the track change there. That shall be interesting as well. A little update to the track for Sector 3. See what happens then. Either way, I'm your commentator, Rhino-Con31, and I'm going to head off there. Catch us next week for more action. Likely a little bit later with the Qatar race for real life in the sprint, taking up that. Either way, we'll catch you next time for F2, and we'll catch you later today. Tier 1, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time. And signing off.